So, welcome in, everyone. Thank you for coming today. We're so happy to have you with Wellbeing Conversations here with the hospital. And I just want to tell you a little bit about the reason we're doing this. So, we're doing this because we all need well-being, and employees especially, and especially those of us that work in healthcare. We really need COVID recovery. And so this is one of the things that we're offering to really help employees with their mental and physical health. And as you can see on the screen, there's a definition around that. It really, well-being just doesn't include, like just your work. It also includes your personal life as well. Um, but
Your
it
screen's not sharing,
it's
just
not sharing.
no,
Okay. I'm so sorry.
that's
Just one
okay.
moment. So sorry. I actually had it in queue.
There we go.
Okay. So as you can see, I'll just start over. Basically, your well-being here is defined, right? And it really has to do with your mental and your physical health. And it's not just at work, it's also at home. There are a lot of factors that go into your well being. And so this is an opportunity for the folks that work with me and at this hospital to really help reduce some of the stress and burnout that we have at work. We want to provide tools to help you mitigate some of the stress that you may be experiencing because we want you to know that you are resilient personally and professionally. And so this well-being conversations is all about connecting you with tools that can support that for you. So we want to thank you for coming today. We have an amazing presenter today. Her name is Jeanette Longton. She is a senior EPA advisor, and we are so happy to have her here. I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen so you all can meet Jeanette.
Good morning, Jeanette Longton. I'm Senior EAP Counselor with the San Francisco Health Service System Employee Assistance Program. And right now, the only gal in town since my colleague retired at the end of June. So we are looking to hire another counselor. I am a licensed clinician. I've been doing that for about 40 years. And if you are not familiar with the EAP, it is short-term solution-focused counseling for employees. And we also have an external EAP vendor, ComPsych. So if I'm in a meeting like right now, or I'm on the phone or with a client, the phone will roll over to our external EAP ComPsych. You will not get a counselor on the phone, a clinician, but you will get a guidance consultant who will get some information from you and refer you to a therapist in the community. Now, if you are calling, in fact, about a work-related problem, please be sure to ask for me. Please be sure to ask for an HSS EAP counselor, San Francisco Health Service System EAP counselor, because I do work for the city and do understand the challenges that go along with the city and know how to advise people on the problems that they run into in the various departments. So we work with all 55 departments in the city. I know each department has their own culture, their own language, and I am familiar with most of it. So please do feel free to reach out, even if you just want a consultation about a situation, feel free. And if you have any difficulty accessing care through your health insurance plan, for mental health services or substance use services, or through ComPsych, please do reach out to me. And at the end of our presentation today, I have my contact information, and you're more than welcome to reach out to me by phone or by email. So with that said, I'm going to share my screen. So I'm going to say goodbye to your lovely faces for now and go ahead and share. So that way I can go over our presentation today. So let's make this nice and big. Okay, perfect. And I'm going to bring this screen down. There we go. All right. So today's conversation is handling stress is a balancing act, and indeed it is. We do provide a lot of different workshops, some trainings, and one of our workshops is stress management. Another is dealing with difficult people, effective communication, leadership in action, which is a series for leadership. So that's supervisors, managers, directors, and HR professionals. We do other presentations like we're doing today. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And today's going to consist of both presentation, an opportunity to contribute within the larger group, some exercises to help you learn about yourself and learning about resources today. And also, if you use a computer, it works best instead of using a telephone when you are attending a presentation. So our interactive learning environment today, we have some agreements for our time together. We want to basically create and maintain a safe and brave space because there's going to be some new information presented. Please remain for the duration and be present. So that means don't be texting and taking phone calls and stuff like this, because this time is for you. Multitasking is definitely overrated. Takes you away from caring for yourself. So I'm going to encourage you to speak up, share your ideas, ask your questions. And sometimes people are, shy to speak. So I'm going to ask you to step up. And for people who tend to talk a whole lot, I'm going to ask you at some point maybe to step back and to give somebody else an opportunity to talk. But we're such a small group today that I don't think that's going to really come into play. There's no right or wrong ideas or answers to anything, and be open to a shifting perspective. Please mute your phone. I've muted both of mine, and please mute your mic unless you're talking. I am going to apologize in advance in case you hear my dog barking. I am remote. She barks seldom, but has a hefty bark. So if she does, she apologizes, as do I. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started with our presentation. So bottom line is that stress is all around us. It's at work, and about work. Every single department in the city is understaffed. Every single department in the city has employees who are typically working more than one job. And so the stresses at work are big. We understand that there's a lot of demands on each and every one of you. The pandemic continues to cause stress as we play catch up from the pandemic, and as new strains come out and flu season comes on, we're going to be encountering more healthcare issues. Politics is always looming, as are societal concerns and world problems. And I always like to also mention ACE, which is adverse childhood experiences, which equals trauma. And a lot of us are dealing with that as well in our daily lives, not only with the patients that you deal with clients, with people we encounter at the grocery store or on the street, or we ourselves may be dealing with that in the background of our lives. So all stuff to consider that, really it's not possible to have a stress-free life. Stress can actually be healthy and motivate us to get things done. Think of athletes who are stressed before they begin their athletic endeavor, and they need that stress for motivation. So stress is both positive and can sometimes be negative when it impacts our health or our well-being. So there's three key concepts to managing stress, and those are awareness of ourselves and managing ourselves. So basically, what we want to look at in terms of awareness, is when do we get activated? And sometimes people refer to that as, getting triggered, okay, or something triggers you. So we all have things in our lives that are triggering, but when our reaction to that trigger is being activated, that's when our amygdala, the little almond-sized parts inside our midbrain, that gets activated, and our fight or flight response turns on. And that's the pounding heart, the feeling of stress, maybe dizziness, stomach, headache, all that sort of thing that lets us know that we're being activated. It can be muscle tension too. So one really important thing that we're actually not going to dive into today, because we don't have enough time to do that, is that deactivation is super important. And certainly we can go over that another time. But basically, practicing deactivation to being activated is a daily task. It's a practice that we must practice every day. So that way, when we really need it, it can come into play. So another really important key concept to managing stress is our perspective. I'm looking at a situation. Can I shift my perspective for a healthier outlook? So an example of that would be, when I first came to the city, I was blown away by some of the what I see as inefficient processes, right? And so at first I would kind of get the hair on my neck standing up over those things. But over time, I kind of just had to change my perspective because it was causing me stress. And my perspective changed to, okay, I get paid the same whether I waste my time on a certain piece of paperwork or whether I do something else. So I don't have control over that. It's what's expected. So I'm going to go with the flow. And that is a change of perspective. So also acknowledging what we do and do not have control over is absolutely essential. So with that, let's take a look at perspective. Perspective is the way you see it. It's a particular attitude or a way of regarding something, a point of view, or somebody. So since we're such a small group today, we're not going to do breakout room, but we can talk as a group. Please feel free to unmute yourselves for this next slide. So in terms of perspective, I want you to think for a moment, because we've all had a time, I hope, when we changed our perspective about something because we realized our perspective wasn't quite working for us, or maybe wasn't contributing to our well-being or the well-being of others. So think about a time when you changed your perspective about something. How did you know you needed to look at something differently? How did it impact you and others when you changed your perspective? So I already shared something about that, changing a perspective. So anybody else, go ahead and chime in. And don't be shy. We're a small group, and we can stop recording during this time so that way, or it will be edited out so that way we can afford